Hey, 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 everybody. Live from Denver. It is Friday night. Let us check and make sure that all is well with the microphones and all. Yep, we are good. Hey, critics. So happy to be here with you this evening. You know, it's so funny. Oh, well, first off, as you can see, I am joined by my beautiful wife, Melissa.
Hello.
And I love it when she is here with me because it is a wonderful companionship and support and help and wonderful ideas being contributed to what we are.
And you got Benson down here supporting you too.
That's right. Little Benson's actually right below us right now. And excuse me. You know, it's funny. I usually have my sodas. I had a nice big cup when I was doing my live stream on Wednesday, which I think some of you guys saw, where I sort of took apart Revolting in the Stars, Revolt in the Stars.
Oh boy.
Which is, as if you saw that live stream, I had no idea that was going to go for as long as it did. And I'm not particularly sad about that. I'm just surprised that it went for 2.5 hours of taking this thing apart, walking through it and all the various parts of it. So I really hope you guys will check that out. It was a lot of fun to do and something that I've been looking forward to doing for a very long time. So finally just going, okay, let's do this thing. And I've got some ideas of some other live streams that might happen midweek that I could do on Wednesdays maybe, to take apart certain other Scientology materials or culty materials or whatever. So, of course, Scientology is the stuff I'm most familiar with and the stuff that I can really give you guys the full breakdown on. You know, one of these days I'm going to have to dive into some Mormon texts and some Jehovah's Witness stuff or some other broad, you know, kind of mainstream cult stuff, and give you guys some breakdown on that too. But I just, you know, my time and the various things I'm working on and trying to get everything done and then doing these live streams. And then this last week, there being an interview posted by Andrew Gold, the same, you know, around the same time of, you know, with a Scientologist, with that Katie Lohman. That was absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So then I had to put that whole Revolt in the Stars prep on hold because I needed to do this write-up for Tony and so, you know, on that interview and watch that whole thing, and that was kind of fun. So anyway, it's been busy here at the Shelton household is all I'm trying to say. And it was funny because I had on that day this great big glass that I was going to use as a joke, because I had a glass of Kool-Aid that day. But in 2.5 hours, I didn't take a single drink from it. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, so there we go. We got a lot to go over tonight, so I want to remind everybody, not right off because we've got some things to go over, but if you want to call in, it's 984-214-4154, and I do look forward to talking to you guys in the second half of the hour here. But first, thank you very much for those kind words there in the comments there. You have a quote for us, and I love Melissa's quote. She always pulls the
pretty short,
greatest stuff.
One, but it's kind of about perseverance. So it is from Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it is done.
You know. That is so true in so many ways. And maybe think about that in regards to the theme of the show tonight of letting things go. Mm-hmm. You know, it is amazing if you kind of stop and take stock of your life and where you've arrived at and what you've accomplished and how easy it can be for us to get down on ourselves and invalidate ourselves and tell ourselves we're useless or not getting anything done or whatever. When in fact, look at how much you've done. Right. Look at how much you've accomplished, right? Either as an individual, as a family member, as a parent, as in your job, even in your hobby life or sports life. You know, we accomplish all kinds of things, and we tend to so easily forget that. You know, and I say we, I'm certainly talking about me, but I've seen this, you know, obviously we see this behavior in so many people, not everybody. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but we do, you know, Okay, so before we get into the meat of this, I wanted to, Mel took some fantastic Benson cam this week that we're going to share with you guys.
Yes.
And I'll let Mel sort of monologue on this one as to what was happening.
My friend, she bought Benson a little set of tricks. One of them was a tunnel, and one of them is this one where he's like weaving in and out. We've got one he's going to jump over, but we haven't been practicing with that one yet.
Right, so you can
this
see
is one of the tricks.
we're working on getting him to.
You can see treats. Help.
Exact. Well, that's the exact way he learns, and he's just such a little. God, he's just such a little cutie.
He's so cute.
Just adore this dog. But yeah, he is fun to train. We have been working on different, stupid Benson tricks.
Yes.
And getting him to walk around in the around the spikes there is one of them. Getting him to shake.
Yeah, well, he hasn't figured that one out yet. I don't know why that one's so hard for him.
Yeah, it's funny.
Hard for him.
It is. He's learned to loosen his paw. When you go shake, he'll kind of let it hang, but he doesn't know to lift it up so you can shake it. He hasn't quite twigged on that part yet.
I think he probably needs to see another dog do it.
Yeah, smart Benson tricks.
Yeah, I know in Seven could shake paws, my old cat, but that was because he saw other cats doing it and getting a treat and everything, and he was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
If that's what's going to happen, I'll do that too. And then he would do it just whenever he wanted a treat, even if you didn't tell him to shake. He'd just come up and be like, and then you were thinking he was going to get food.
Wow. Well, yeah, we're having fun with that. It's not, we're not rigorous about it. We're not disciplinarians with him, but it really is interesting how it takes time, like sometimes months, to really connect with and get used to and learn the moods even of your pet, and this is Benson's a rescue, of course, and he came to us 3 years old. And so he had some issues. He came out of a hoarder house. And so we didn't really know what that meant and what that was going to mean for him. But he has really adapted to us, and we've really just grown to love him like crazy. And it's funny how you can even pick up moods with your dog of when he's tired and he gets cranky.
And he has such an expressive little face.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
You can tell when he's about to bark or growl. He's just like, oh, I know that face.
Right. And when he's being troublesome or in your face or barky or whatever, you kind of know, oh, something's up here and it's going to be this or it's going to be this or it's going to be this. And then you kind of work through the things and you find out what it is and things kind of settle. And through that, it's interesting how I think he has come to trust us, so much more than when he first arrived and we were dealing with stuff and we didn't know what, and he didn't know and we didn't know and just kind of learning, so, so he came from a rescue from Kansas.
It's Trevor. It was Trevor something.
It was
Trevor's
a couple.
Rescue or something.
Yeah, it was
like
a couple that we got it from.
Yeah, this couple. They had lost a son young. He was like 20 or 21 or something like that, and he loved dogs. So after he died, they started a dog rescue, and so they just saved dogs that are kind of on the chopping block. And he was, he was about to be euthanized in Kansas, and they saved him. And now we've got him, and he's great.
Exactly. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the main topic here. Now, let it go, letting things go. Let it go, let it go. The song goes through my head all the time. Hey, Clearwater Chad. Hey, everybody, by the way. I see all of y'all, all our usual suspects and critics in the comments here. So happy to see you guys. I got to tell you, it's really funny. I get so nervous. Sometimes I'm even pacing before the show and kind of wound up. And then the show starts and it all just chills. And it's really nice. It's funny that I am not, there's a thing that happens. I guess you got to do this for a while or something where you just kind of get comfortable doing it. And the technical aspects kind of get under control. So I'm not so worried about that. Anyway, letting things go. Let's talk about this, because this is something that's been on my mind a lot this week, because I've been sort of thinking as I do and cogitating on stuff. And you guys know that, I've done a lot of, at this point, I think I can say I've done a lot of therapy. It's been a year or two, and I've been really diving into a lot of stuff. And you guys know that I'm a pretty introspective guy, and I definitely believe in emotional intelligence and being in touch with and being aware of, it sounds so touchy-feely. You go, I want to be in touch with my emotions, but it's really just, well, what's happening? I mean, it's kind of like being in touch with your hunger or your sleep. You either are aware of it and you're paying attention to it, and being mindful of it and dealing with it, correctly, or you don't. And if you don't, you're going to have problems. And especially with our emotions.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They're all over the place. And emotions are really fun, and they're really funny, and they're really interesting how we categorize them and how we break them down and try to group them and figure them out. And we even value judge them. Anger's bad, and, grief is bad, and happiness is good. And we all judge all of this by the feels, and more importantly, by what we do, the actions we take. And sometimes in those more, riled up states, we say and do things that we really regret later, or we really wish we hadn't done. And we have to go back, and then it's like, oh my God, and I'm so sorry, and I didn't mean it, but you did mean it in the moment.
Oh yeah.
You definitely meant it, right? But then you're gonna pull back because you realize, oh, the person who I am more often than that doesn't feel that way. And isn't that an interesting sensation, right? Because it's like 2 people, 3 people, 20 people living in your head, depending an awful lot on how you feel.
Yeah.
That's like kind of itself a bit of a heady realization of like, oh my God, I got different versions of me. It's really a different concept than I have different people up here. It's just different versions of you. And you kind of have to deal with and be responsible for all of that. And self-worth has been on my mind a lot lately, and you guys have seen me, having some ups and downs with, dealing with some stuff and coming to realize that, okay, what's going on here? Because getting upset with other people for being who they are and what they're doing, no matter who, no matter what. I am not like sort of like vague referencing any one thing here. I'm going to talk to you about my whole life and all of my life. I have tended to take things more personally than I should. And I've been doing a lot of thinking about what the hell, why do I do that? Why does that version of me react that way in the moment, and what's up with that? Well, it has something to do with letting things go, and in my case, for what I want to talk about today, and this is all part and parcel for me, at least the way I'm thinking about it and framing it. This is all part of cult recovery, even, and I'll connect those dots for you. So, I used to have, growing up, a pretty low self-worth. I went to, and the reason I think I've narrowed down one of the big reasons for that in terms of circumstances, which was that I started school a year earlier than most other kids because I'm born in December. And you December babies or November babies might know what I'm talking about, where you end up in a classroom full of people that are kind of a year older than you are, or bigger than you are, or tougher than you are, or smarter than you are, right? They've got a leap on you, right? They've had more time. And this is actually a known thing. This is Malcolm Gladwell talks about this,
That's
right?
In
terms of sports and stuff, right? It's a built-in problem in our school system and in our sports selection process. How we select out athletes depends an awful lot on when they were born. You'll find on the rosters of almost any major sports team anywhere in the world that follows our same kind of educational system, apparently you will find an outsized number of those athletes are born in January, February, March, April. Early, right? Because they had the advantage over the December and November and October babies who start earlier and therefore are not as physically capable of, contributing as early to the sports thing, well, also to the smarts thing. I was never a sports guy, but I was certainly trying to outdo those physical problems or issues that I would have of being the runt of the class a lot. I was trying to outdo that through my smarts, through my intelligence. I picked up reading really quickly and stuff like that. But, you guys know what school's like, and brains are not appreciated over brawn, right?
Nope.
And you invite bullying and stuff like that. And sure enough, and this is not some big victim thing. I'm just telling you how it was. So I grew up with this idea that I was less than everybody else because nobody ever clued me in on this birthday thing or on why I was smaller, shorter, not as strong, not as, good as everybody else. And it's already bad enough because we already all feel that way anyway, regardless of our age. Mm-hmm. We've all got our insecurities as kids and getting socialized and all that. And you build, and I guess for me, what I'm saying is I built up an awful lot of resentment. Right. And I didn't even really think about it that way, but goddamn, it was there, right, in spades. And so there was, anyway, so there's a lot I could say about that. But what I wanted to get down to the thing on that with is that low self-worth. Okay. Smart, got into the honors classes, got into the gifted and talented stuff. But again, kind of not really feeling like I was on an even plane with everybody else. And, I'll just connect this dot right now to Scientology. Is I've said many, many times, what is it that draws people into a destructive cult, right? And I've described the whole layout of going in and doing this personality test and being told by this beautiful woman who was an adult, who'd had real life experience, how smart I was and how great I was and how, and it was a real nice ego boost, but not getting the full backstory on that, as I just kind of laid out. I don't know that it's been super clear how down on myself I was going into that situation. I did not go in there, Mr. Ego, I'm all that, and what do they call that? And a slice of bread or something,
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So this ego boosting, this love bombing that happened, was feeding years of resentment and ego bruising that I felt I had been experiencing. And that was absolutely crucial to my personal recruitment process into Scientology. And I've never really broken that down because I didn't even really think it through myself that well. I definitely knew and remember what it felt like, and I remembered all the love bombing, and I've talked about that, but the earlier sort of beginning on that is kind of an important point of the story, because when all that in a bag of chips, because they were telling me that I was going to join, when I joined staff 2 years later, right out of high school. Why would I do that? Well, how about because grown-ass adults were telling me things that no one had ever told me before. I'm brilliant. I'm capable of such amazing things. I can change the world. I mean, they definitely knew what buttons to push with me. I was probably pretty obvious about it. And that, that kind of acknowledgement, that kind of what I thought of at the time as emotional support, as somebody who actually cared about me, who actually had things positive to say about me. That made, I just can't even begin to describe how my 17-year-old self I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe this was happening, and so no wonder I would run to be part of this group, because I'll tell you, I never had anybody in high school ever tell me anything like that. So, so it was really quite powerful, quite a powerful recruitment process. And that, of course, puts me into the flip side, right? Because what does Scientology do? Boost, 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 ego boost, ego boost, ego boost. You're the top 10% of the top 20% of human beings in the world because you're here. You're so aware. You're so amazing. And it just keeps kind of piling on, right? And you start getting this idea by reading Hubbard's writings, especially about staff, and then even more so in the Sea Org. Oh my God. That you're definitely not just all that in a bag of chips, you're all that in a truck of chips. You know, you are like the man. And I flipped, right? And it went the other way. And suddenly I was so full of myself and so egotistical that it became kind of narcissistic. And that's where I came out and realized, oh my God, you know, and it took a long time to kind of let go of all that stuff. And so what happens, right? I flip again. Right? And I'm like, oh, I'm not all that. I was never all that. Scientology was all a lie. It was all a lie. And guess what? I take it right back to the beginning. And I go, well, I don't want to be a narcissist. I don't want to be an ego monster. I don't want to be somebody who overvalues myself and overvalues who and what I am and my relative importance in the world. And I adopt atheism as a sort of philosophical approach and skepticism as a way of thinking. And suddenly I'm skeptical of everything, including myself. And I am, you know, Mr. Humility all of a sudden, right? And it's like, no, I'm not all that. And it took years to get there, right? Because it was kind of taking off layers of clothing of ego, right? As I stripped this stuff. I mean, you remember when you first met me, I was probably a little more full of myself.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. There's definitely a little more there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, so I could see there was a problem there. I could see there was something wrong. And so maybe thank you for that super chat.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, good. Yes, I'll get to that. So kind of flip the other way, right? And so now I then started realizing more recently with certain conflicts that have happened and certain other things that have happened that I've been judging my value or my worth based on numbers, right? That kind of stuck with me Scientologically. Statistics and numbers and views and subscribers and likes and retweets and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And, well, that's its own little trap, right? And again, vestiges of Scientology, right? Oh, wow, yeah, that's not actually you know, nobody's going to care. On your tombstone, you know, he got 10,000 likes. You know, no one cares. No one cares, right? So why make such a big deal about it? And of course, you know, it's easy to toss, you know, sort of just like say that. But when your livelihood depends on growing a channel and having a presence and having people know about you and wanting them to get your work in front of them, then it does kind of matter how you're putting yourself out there and how you're presenting, and you do grow a channel. But those numbers and that stuff, is not really the stuff to focus on. And most importantly, it's not the thing to judge your value on.
No.
You know? Yeah, you live, you learn. So, the point that became clear to me on this was that it is okay to think of yourself, because I can't be the only one going through this stuff, right? I can't be. There's just no way. And so I thought in sharing this with you guys, hopefully this might be helpful to some of you out there, that it is okay to kind of think of yourself as somebody who is valuable and important and might to do that. The line that gets crossed is when you don't think anybody else has any value or worth because you're so good and they're all so bad. And that's exactly the point where it flips into the dark side, right? But having a proper estimation of what you've accomplished, what you're capable of, you know, how you can do whatever it is you want to do, There's nothing wrong with that at all, right? And that's kind of important. And the other thing, and the other thing is taking everything personally, right? Where that kind of comes into this, because of course, what's at the bottom of all of that? Insecurity and wanting to fit in and wanting to be part of the crowd. That was very, very much part of my existence. Again, growing up, and I went right back to that. The insecurity, I want to be in with the cool kids. I want to be liked. I want to be invited to everything. I want everybody to want to be around me all the time. And, that whole cool kid thing that we get into. I know I'm not the only one who encounters that.
No, not at all.
Right? And you actually were part of the cool kids for a while in school.
For a year, yeah, I was. And I don't recommend it. It was like, there's just these ways you have to behave and these rules you have to follow. And if you don't do that, then there's all this trouble and drama that happens, And so after that year of hanging out with them and watching how a lot of them behave, not all of them, some of them were kind of cool, but watching how a lot of them behaved and treated other people and stuff like that, it started bothering me. And then I started making friends again with some people who were not as cool, not the cool kids. They were cool to me, but they weren't cool kids, popular kids, And they were much nicer to me, and I got along with them better, and we were more on the same page on things, And we were friends for the rest of junior high and then all throughout high school. So it's just like that was.
Yeah.
They were better for me. I mean, none of us were perfect. We were all dumb kids, but they were better for me than the other ones were.
Exactly. And that's what, that's what you kind of come to realize is that, the effort to be part of something that really isn't you.
Yeah.
It's something else. It's somebody else, right? It's some other group of people, and you're who you are. And it's not just I'm good enough, I'm strong enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. It is kind of that, but it's not that silly. It's more like it's okay to just be who you really are. And you'll attract the people to you, or you will find the people around you that fit.
Yeah, they're like you. Yeah.
But not, this is my hard lesson, right? But not if you're spending all your time anxiously trying to fit into something you don't really fit into. That's a me problem. That's not the other people's problem. And that was the big sort of thing for me, realizing, oh my God, here are people who are doing what they're doing, and I am not that. And so I need to be who I am, right? And that's okay. And and because I was so kind of, trying to do something No.
We all let the sound go.
Yeah. He did. Oh, wait. What? I'm hearing something.
I heard something too. Oh, yay. We're back. Okay.
There. Okay. Man, that was weird.
Yeah.
I don't know what adjustment I just made that fixed that, but clearly something did. I think it was Benson laying on one of the cables and pulled something slightly out. I think that's what just happened.
Goofy dog.
So thank you for your patience. All right. Good. We're all still locked in there.
All righty.
Wait.
Uh-oh.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, we're good. All right, good. And we're still on the
on the phone. Yeah.
phone line. Yes, we are. Good. All right. Thank you for suffering through with us in those technical difficulties. All right. So where I was trying to go with all of that is that when you realize what you got and you let go of the earlier bullshit and you just kind of like realize there is value, there is self-worth. It is okay to think of yourself that way.
Yeah.
And to acknowledge that in yourself and just let all that other bullshit go. I think that's important. For me, it certainly was. And I think that would be something that we all need to be reminded of, maybe. You know, I wish somebody had hit me over the head with that maybe a year or two ago. It would have been a real nice message. And the fact of the matter is that more recently, some people have been hitting me over the head with that, and it finally got through. And so, and you guys are part of that too. And I want to thank you guys for your support and for your viewership and your incredibly kind words about my work, because it really does help and it really does matter. It's a kind of a two-way street here sometimes, developing an audience and wanting to be, wanting to have that kind of connection. So, that all being said, I think we have some calls in the queue.
We do.
So let's pick them up.
All right. Adria, about insecurities.
Yeah, let's pick that up.
There we go.
Hello.
Hello, wonderful human beings.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm doing all right. Hi. Good to see you. And just so you know, I could still hear you on the phone line when I guess people couldn't hear you on the over the computer.
Huh.
Yeah, the phone was
helpful in diagnosing your technical issue.
Thank you. Yeah, that was interesting. I think I'm not sure. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research, figure out what the hell just happened, but whatever. We're back. So hi. Yeah. Welcome to the show.
The phone line was not effective.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so I had 2 points to bring up, and one is more important than the other, so I'll bring up the more important one first, in my opinion.
Yep.
And that is, in the letting go thing, it's one thing, being like not trying to fit in with the popular crowd and just letting all those sorts of expectations go and whatnot. But I feel like you forgot one little aspect of it, and that would be, let's say you don't care what the popular crowd is doing. You don't care. You could not care less about what they're doing. And you're just doing your own thing. And then people choose to bully you anyway. And people choose to target you anyway. Because that's what happened to me. That happened to me like first grade through whenever. And before first grade, I think it even happened to me in like Daisy or Brownie Girl Scout.
I hear you. Yeah.
And other places.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's possible to not care what people think and you're just doing your own thing. But the bullying is a whole nother level where they're intentionally targeting you.
That's right.
And,
that's right.
I mean, so I just felt like, that's a little bit harder to let go of. I'm going to turn 40 this year, and I still have nightmares, and I've gone through so much counseling. I have worked really hard on my stuff, and I still have nightmares about these bullies. One of them, I think, is even dead.
Wow.
And I still have nightmares.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The other day, I had another Scientology escape dream. They pop up from time to time, you know? And, you know, and by that I mean I'm sleeping and I find myself back on a Scientology base trying to get the hell off the base. And, you know, you have that whole sleep paralysis thing where I can't run. I can never run or even walk very well in my dreams. It drives me crazy. But let me connect with you earlier. Let me share this with you because I absolutely get what you're saying. You know, bullying was absolutely a part of my life all through school. And I'll just share two things with you on this. You tell me what you think. First off, I'll just share my solution at that time was to somehow, anyhow, I ended up making friends with the biggest, tallest person in school.
Oh, that's nice.
I did. I just fell into it. I would just kind of gravitate and connect. And I don't mean the coolest person in school, but I mean like, you know, guys who could protect me. Yeah. And that is the one and only way I avoided getting my ass kicked consistently through school, because I was absolutely get your ass kicked bait. You know, I was that guy. I always had a book in my hand. I was always reading. I was always on the bench. I was never in sports. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Well, I get that. The thing is, girl bullies are so different than boy bullies.
They are. They're so much more psychological.
Yeah, I mean, I had boys, no offense, but boy bullies are so easy to handle. I grew up with martial arts training. So I only had a boy try to do something physical to me once or twice, and it never happened again.
Right.
But girls, they're just so, oh my goodness,
relentless.
They're awful.
Yeah.
Little girls can be terrible.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't necessarily mature. My mom found that out. My mom was popular growing up, so she did not understand me being bullied. And my mom, you know, has her own things. God bless my mom. Anyway, she couldn't comprehend because she was a popular kid. But then she went to work later in life and found out, sometimes these girls don't mature.
Exactly.
Even little old ladies in like retirement homes will bully each other.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's not, I mean, some of these people never grow out of it. Right. And let's remember, like I sort of dropped this just a little bit, but this narcissist thing, right? I mean, there is a thing about self-worth, and then there's the narcissist. Then there's the people who, you know, maybe they're clinical, or maybe they're just kind of developed this overinflated sense of ego, and we don't have to go into personality disorders. But regardless, the thing about there are those personalities out there, and they are kind of unforgivable because they're not ever going to seek forgiveness because they truly do not care who or what they have to walk over in order to accomplish their ends. So we've all run into those types, right? Right? Of course. So I think, I don't know, you tell me, but you know, as a grown-ass adult, right, we have to take on some degree of, okay, I'm not a kid anymore, right? And I do have to deal with the world as it is. And that is acknowledging, right? It's learning and acknowledging that, you know, that bad people exist, or that, you know, kind of fucked up people exist, right? And this is just a broad statement. I'm not even like targeting anybody right now. I'm just saying in all of our lives, all of us statistically run into these people. So
absolutely, yeah.
Right? And so for me, I mean, therapy is good. I'm not even getting therapy on this stuff. This is all just, you know, sort of adjacent to it, right? But there's
all
this
connected.
Well, it is, and there's that connective piece of realizing a couple things. One, as adults, much more so, I think, than kids. Because in school and in kid things, the same kids tend to be around each other a lot more often and stuff like that. And they kind of occupy their time with how to get each other and stuff like that. Yeah. And adults end up, you know, having more full, complicated, complete lives. They get kids and jobs and car breaks down and all that other crap, right? And coming to realize, this is a little bit of freedom for me, was realizing just because I'm taking it personally doesn't mean it was meant that way at all, or that person was even thinking about me at all in any way.
Yeah.
Right?
That is so true. If we knew how little other people thought about us,
Right.
you know, we would be a lot less worried about what other people like. Yeah.
Most of the time they're just thinking about themselves. Yeah.
Exactly. Which is why I wanted to,
Absolutely.
and that's why I wanted to stress, and I'll say it again, this is a me problem. This is not a them problem, right? It's recognizing that the grief and nonsense that I would cause myself is I'm doing that. You know, and they're just living their life. They're doing their thing. And odds are they're not thinking about me at all. So why am I thinking about them? Right? Silly thing to do.
Exactly.
Very silly, right? It's a me problem. It's not a them problem, because you get to choose now. Maybe as a kid you didn't. You had to go to the school you had to go to. You had to go to the church your parents took you to. You had to join the sports clubs that were there because that's all you had. Now, as adults, we have a menu, a banquet of choices to us. We get to choose who we want to be with and who we want to hang out with, who we want to associate with. So why not choose? Why not exercise that power of choice? Why not, oh, this is a bully. This is a person I don't want in my life. This is a person who doesn't add value to my existence. You know what? I get a choice in this now. You know, and I think that's, you know, it's not the best answer. It's not the answer that solves every problem, but it certainly puts the ball back in our court, and we get to stop blaming everybody else for our problems, you know?
Absolutely, but I do want to push back a little just so we have a more developed picture here.
Yeah.
And that is, in my case, I am disabled, and so I have to interact with the Social Security office and such in order to, you know, be able to exist. And I have to go see certain doctors. And I have a certain amount of choice, but I don't have a great amount of choice with who I'm dealing with.
Sure.
Now, I don't take what they say to me personally unless it's a real personal attack.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't take what they say to me personally or whatever, because I know they're all living their lives. I'm living my life. I get it. I'm an adult, as you say. But I can see how some people would take it personally. In my case, I have waited over a year to see one penny of my back pay.
Ugh.
Just today, I finally saw a penny of back pay, and this is like 13 plus months after it was awarded to me.
Right.
And it's not the full amount, it's just a teeny amount. Now, and my case was messed up so many times by the local office, which is why it's taken over a year for me to see even one penny. So I can see how people could take that personally. And someone at work might be in a situation where they might not be able to move jobs right now. And so they might take something personally that happens at work or whatever. But we do live in a world where there are larger systems larger than us, government, jobs, Social Security, that sort of thing. There are systems larger than us that we do need to interact with.
Oh, of course.
And so, you know, just to see that we don't take that personally either, you know.
Absolutely. I'm in no way suggesting that there is not, you know, injustices and problems and things we have to get over. And by getting over, I mean hurdles we have to get over, you know, real barriers, real problems. I'm in no way suggesting that those things are not real or that you should just let it go, right? Obviously, your back pay, you need to fight for that, right? That's bullshit. And we deal with corporate bullshit 24/7, right? It's just insane in this world right now with the amount of crap we have to deal with from corporations and from bureaucracies and from government institutions and certainly from our own jobs, right? I cannot tell you guys like enough how thankful I am that I have the opportunity to do this work and I don't have to go do a 9-to-5. This is by no means, you know, it has me rolling in the money, but it does keep I am keeping the roof over my head and we are keeping things, you know, going. And I am privileged to be able to do this, you know what I mean? Because I will never go work for somebody again unless, you know, there is absolutely no choice whatsoever for those exact reasons. And I know not everybody can do what I'm doing, and I get that, you know. So I'm in no way trying to pretend, you know, we live in this, you know, Pollyanna world where everything is, you know, is wonderful if we would just let it all go. It's just there are parts of what we hold on to that make it harder for ourselves. And that's what I'm suggesting.
When we turn it into a self-judgment of our character and our work.
Exactly. And because that just gets in our own way. That's us stopping ourselves. That's not the boss. That's not the government. That's not the, you know, that's not the doctors. That's us doing that. So, yeah.
Yep. I just wanted to make sure we had a more fully developed picture here on the table.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And I just want to make one minor note because you probably have other callers, and I don't want to take up much more time. Otherwise, I'm sure I could talk with you forever.
No, I do have another caller in the queue, but please, what's your point?
Yeah. So the little point that I wanted to make was hoarding. I have a lot of experience around hoarding. Not that I myself am a hoarder, but I have a lot of personal experience around it.
Okay.
And the thing is, it's a control issue. Whoever is hoarding is trying to control something in their life. And the way they're trying to control it is by hoarding stuff and not letting it go. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. Food for thought. And there you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks, Adria. I appreciate that. And thanks for calling in.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, great.
My pleasure. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, cool. Let me take a quick, I see you in the queue here, Mark, and we are going to get you to in just a moment. Let me first, though, we did have that super chat earlier.
Oh, that's right.
That I wanted to address. Don't want to forget about that.
There it is.
Okay, so we had a question here from Secren. Can you tell us about life continuum and valences, please? Please give us some good verbal tech. Voices in the head sound very woggy. Okay. Those are kind of okay. So I actually explained valences in a recent Q&A show. Basically, they're a package personality that exists in your head of somebody else's personality as you perceive it. This is all Scientology stuff. And you take on the persona, you take on the characteristics, right? As you perceive the person, not who they really are, but how you think they are. Your mom, your dad, you know, enemies, frenemies, people who have allied with you and helped you during times of trauma or crisis, or people who have hurt you or harmed you. And both can be seen as what are called the winners or the winning valence. A valence, again, being a personality package. This is something Hubbard said kind of exists in your mind. You take on that persona and you start acting like that person. And this is Hubbard's explanation for why you see little mini me's all over the place of kids with glasses that look just like their dad, or little girls who dress just like their mom, or have the same mannerisms, or have the same ways or attitudes and things like that. Now, of course, that's just growing up and learning from the people around you. But Hubbard had this whole complicated explanation of it being a valence that you could address with auditing, and you could strip valences off of a person so that they are more and more themselves.
Oh my God.
Whatever or whoever that is. Life continuum is a little bit harder to explain, and I'd actually have to go remind myself a little bit of it because there's whole lectures on it. It has to do with... basically, it has to do with somebody dies or somebody disappears or somebody is gone out of your life. And yeah, I'll just give you this quick one is they're gone. Your mom dies. Your dad dies. It's usually a loved one, right? Best friend, something like that. You take on their persona. You take on again. You start becoming them because you want to continue their life. You don't, and that's called a life continuum. You start living their life, or aspects or parts of their life for them, because you don't want them gone anymore. Again, this is Hubbard's sort of explanation for it. You can find absolutely in grief psychology and stuff like that. You can find parallels to this or certain thinking that might look like this, but it doesn't, because Hubbard is talking about a spiritual concept here. He's talking about things that Thetans do with their reactive mind, and those things don't exist. So we can only talk about this or parallel this with psychological principles to a degree, right? But that's kind of the verbal tech on that. So since that was a super chat and we had that moment, I wanted to answer that. Hope that answers. All right, let's take this call from Mark here. Hey, Mark, you're on. Thanks for being patient.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I wanted to call. You're talking about narcissist people.
Yeah.
And I spent almost 30 years of my life on horses, and my dad doesn't even have a fraction of the horse experience that I do, and yet he literally thinks he is the master race of the horse world. that there's nobody on this planet better than him, and yet he makes damn sure he never has to prove it. He stays away from horse stables. He stays away from real horse. He stays away from people that he knows you can't BS.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And he's always treating me like I don't know, like I don't know my head from my ass.
Right.
A long time ago, when my two nieces were little, I managed to sneak them to friends of mine's horse stable, and they got to ride a horsey, and my dad's walking around, and he is just about ready to go. I thought we were gonna have to put him in a straitjacket because he couldn't stand to be at the stable with all these horse people around. It just about drove him to the loony bin. Wow.
Well, it must be rough dealing with that. How often do you see him, your dad?
I quit seeing him a long time ago. I just
Good.
He's been treating me like dog shit pretty much my whole life. That no matter how good I get at something, it's never enough. It's just, he's always treating me like I'm a cross between Elmer Fudd and Homer Simpson. Right. Well, that's those negative influences, right? We don't want those things in our life as much as we can avoid it.
Yeah.
And now I heard he has COVID, cancer, and all this stuff. And I just, some people don't believe in this fate karma stuff, but I do. If there's anybody out there who deserves the stuff, it's him. He's pissed. He's pissed his life away. He's never learned. There's no joy in him whatsoever. Just no joy. He's like he's this invisible dark cloud over the top of him all the time. He's never learned. There's just absolutely no joy in him whatsoever. He's just so depressing.
I get that. It's
like he enjoys being a depressed Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I'm sorry you had to grow up with that or deal with that, and I'm glad that at least you're away from it now and recognizing it for what it is. At least that's a little bit of acknowledgement that that's just awful. It's not something you need to be connected with. So thank you for calling in and sharing that.
Yeah. And he thinks the only time he should ever come home from work is in a body bag.
Ugh. Yeah. Wow. Okay, Mark. All right. Well, thanks I'm going to have to let you go because we're getting to the end of the show, but thank you for calling in and letting us know about that. I really do appreciate you being that personal.
Yep. Okay.
All right, man.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Yeah. Just reaching the end of our time here. Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. We got to wrap up.
Yes, we do.
Okay. I want to thank you guys again for your patience and sticking with us on this, despite our little sound barrier there. We're just going to have to make sure we somehow get Benson not sitting on our cables.
Yeah.
All right. So logical fallacy of the week.
Here we go. It's the bias of the week. Dunning-Kruger effect. I'm sure many of you have heard of this one before. I like this one. The more you know, the less confident you're likely to be. Because experts know just how much they don't know. They tend to underestimate their ability, but it's easy to be overconfident when you have only a simple idea of how things are. Be skeptical of very confident opinions that lack expert understanding.
Exactly. Be skeptical. Take your time before you decide something's true or not. You know, that kind of thing. Yes, I think ex-Scientology that there will come a point where I will completely let go of Scientology. Yes. And I think as I progress through life, what I'm finding is deeper and deeper layers of the onion that precede Scientology, that Scientology was sort of built on, if that makes sense. You know, a lot of the stuff I talked about here today was pre-Scientology stuff that just reared its ugly ass head again after getting out of Scientology, you know, and was affected by that. And so, you know, can I move on from that? Well, I sure as hell hope so. That's what the show is all about. So yes, I hope so. And I wanted to tell you guys this weekend, I have an awesome podcast for you tomorrow. It's a 2-hour talk with Susan Dones, who was a NXIVM escapee. In fact, she was one of the original whistleblowers all the way back in 2009. She was like telling the authorities Keith Raniere is a bad guy and there's nasty, scammy stuff going on there. And she has an amazing and fun story to tell. And she is probably one of the most articulate guests I've had. So I hope you guys will check out that podcast, big chunky interview. And it's probably the first of what are going to be a few, because I really, really enjoyed talking to her. And then we will have a pre-recorded, not a live Q&A this Sunday. I'll be recording that tomorrow. And then we'll see. We'll see about next Wednesday, whether I put together a live stream or not. It's always a bonus. It's always a bonus. Don't count on a Wednesday thing, but I will do my best. Okay, guys. I'll see you guys. See you guys soon.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Good night.